Hello and welcome to Make It Happen with Will Polston. I'm Will Polston. This is episode number 110, and in this episode I'm joined by Will Richards. Will is an actor, presenter and writer that has some great achievements within the entertainment industry, built from his confidence and passion and with his work ethic. Will has over 6 years of experience working with some of the largest brands in the field, including the likes of Netflix, Foot Asylum, KFC, Word on the Curb, Cowshed Production and many more, including a presenting role on the largest scale YouTube reality show to date, as well as having his own breakfast radio show. In this episode, we'll be talking about how Will went from being a bar worker to being able to follow his passion and achieve his dream of becoming an entertainer and a presenter by just being himself.
So Will, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are we doing?
It is an absolute honour and delight to have the second best Will in Essex on the podcast with me today.
I'm going to take that as it is your podcast, but okay, yeah. Second's okay.
No, look, I really am looking forward to this. This is going to be quite a unique conversation because we've been mates for some years, and you are someone that inspires me most days via your incredible Instagram channel. And it's been really interesting to having seen you evolve and develop. So basically, people are going to be having a bit of a, they're going to be earwigging on a conversation between two friends today, but okay. there's some really important messages that I think people can get from this. So as we've just heard, you're a bit different to some of the guests that we normally have on here that are sort of in the personal development space and speakers and coaches and whatnot. But like I said, the reason I wanted to get you on the show is because what you've done is essentially what I help people do day to day, which is to transform their excuses into results and live a life they love. Now, these days, I've referred to you as a comedian before, but you don't like to be called a comedian, do you?
No, often people call me a comedian. I'm not. I am bloody funny, but I'm not a comedian. That's just who I am as a person. So it just kind of goes hand in hand. I've never done stand-up comedy, anything like that. I just literally make a living off people laughing at me or with me. It's one of the two. I'm not sure which one it is normally.
But you are essentially an entertainer, an outright entertainer. From the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, you're entertaining. But now, obviously, you've moved into the presenting space as well. I'm going to be hearing a little bit about that in terms of what you've done in that respect. Because, like I say, I think it really is inspirational in terms of what you've done there. But what I would love to do is if we could go back a few years to Will Richards, the young kid, if you like. What was it that fired you up? What was it that inspired you? What was it that you wanted to be when you were a kid way back then?
That is a great question. So I've thought about this 1,000 times. I knew it was going to come up, right? So how my thought process when I was younger was not a case of what do I want to be or where do I want to get to. I got a buzz off of people laughing at my jokes. Now, without sounding like a sob story, I didn't have many friends in school. As you can imagine, I was quite annoying, right? So I didn't have loads of friends. I wasn't surrounded with loads of people. I had quite a strange experience in school. I'd never change it, but I'd never go back and do it again. Now, because of that, I thought, right, how can I make people like me? How can I make people want to be around me? I want some sort of recognition from people, and it was comedy, and it was laughter, it was making jokes, doing silly things, and 99% of the time getting zero reaction and getting the old, he's annoying, he's weird, he's strange. But every now and again I struck gold, and I was like, if I can do this for the rest of my life, if I can make one person in 1,000 laugh, I've won. I'm happy because I've done what I wanted to do and converted one person. Just to have a laugh and enjoy themselves. And in recent weeks and months, really, I've started realising that people actually use it more than I realised. Obviously, we can go back into this later on, but the Instagram stuff and the entertainment, obviously, on my story, there's a lot of, as you said, inspirational and what I call cliche and cheesy quotes, right? Just things that I think people would watch and go, yeah, all right. And again, it's the same thing as entertainment and comedy. I want to think if I can affect one person, I've done. I get 8,000 people see it. One person messaged me, said, thanks so much for that. I'm happy with that. But I'm getting so much interaction with it now. People like that I are close to me and I know didn't know that they needed this are messaging me saying, where's your thing today? I'm like, I haven't done it yet. Sorry, I'm going to the gym later. It's always after the gym because my mind's really sharp then. I can't do it in the afternoon. I'm too tired. Right? but people are asking me and saying, "Where's this? Where's the quote? Where's the lift dance? Did you see the lift dances?"
I love the lift dances. I love the lift dances. I live for the lift dances.
Right. Okay. Well, I do as well. And right, a couple of facts I have to get out there. First of all, if you've seen the lift dance, many of you may have done, I'm sure. No, they're not fake staged. Like, it's real. I'm in the lift, right? And two, I've never been caught once. I live on the 4th floor of an apartment block of 51 apartments, and I've never ever been caught once. And I promise you, the day I get caught, I will get that person to join in with me. It might be.
For everyone that's listening to this, who's got no idea what we're talking about, let's just do the first plug. They need to be following you on Instagram. What's your Instagram handle, Will?
Instagram's at Will Richards with 2 S's. We'll pop it down below.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes so you can get access to it. But it is very good, and it's interesting. It's interesting to hear that the thing that you're most inspired by now, and the thing that you do day to day, links back to that moment of what was really sort of quite maybe a sad time, and maybe a fairly dark time for you as a kid, of, like you said, not really having the friends and wanting to do something to get that significance, get that acknowledgement. And now you've got to made a career out of it, which is incredible.
When I hear people say that, it blows my mind. When the sentence, "Now you've made a career out of it," I think, well, that sounds a bit crazy. That's a bit much to say career. But I'm like, well, no, this is my living. This is, I've done this almost accidentally. Well, no, that's not, because I'm putting myself out there. I've pushed myself to a point where I've gone past what I wanted, and I forget to recognise what I'm actually doing, what I've done.
Yeah.
And I think loads of us do that.
Let's talk about some of the stuff that you have done then. So we talk about presenting. So most people, they think of presenters, they think of people like Anton Deck that have been around for years, and Dermot O'Leary. Yeah, it's Dermot O'Leary, isn't it? Dermot O'Leary. And people along those lines, and you have got this uplifting personality that you make people feel very welcome, and you do some great stuff. So now you've done work as a presenter with Netflix, and specifically the show Stranger Things. You've done adverts and been a presenter with the likes of KFC, the obviously the chicken brand, Foot Asylum. You've done stuff with. I mean, these are some huge companies that have brought you in to do work with them because they know that you're brilliant for an audience and creating engagement. And what's it, Wall of Comedy as well? You've done lots of Wall of Comedy.
That's where it all started. Many moons ago, I worked at a bar called Citizen. I've worked in many different bars in Junction. When I worked at the bar called Citizen, I got a call from an actor. His name's Nathan Hector, and I befriended him because he was a regular customer of the bar. And he said, "I've got some guys that want to come and film with somebody from Essex in an Essex bar. They just need someone like you." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll give it a go." They've come down. It was Javan Wade and Purcell Ascot, who are two of the owners of the Wall of Comedy. They came down with Philly, young Philly. So who's mega now. People, I'm sure everyone that's watching this will have heard of him. If not, you would have heard of his most recent song he's released. And Philly was a identical character to me, but rather than Essex, he was South London, basically. And Colombian, he got a great twist on life. His view, perspective of the entertainment world is brilliant. So we almost, not clashed in a negative way by any means, but it was two identical personalities from different walks of life, and it worked so well. It was just basically like a one-upmanship constantly, but with banter, and that's how I got into it, basically. Then we started Philly versus Willie, which was, I didn't approve of the name Willie, but it stuck, so it is what it is. And it just grew from there, and that's how everything started online. That's what pushed me towards the brands and the big names, and that's kind of what got me to that point. But yeah, these companies some of the companies are insane. Like when you say, again, I work, saying it myself is crazy. I've worked with Netflix. I've worked with KFC, the biggest fried chicken company in the other fried chicken is available, the biggest fried chicken company in the world. They're not paying me anymore. But it's insane. Like, these are companies that when you are younger, or even now, you look at, you drive past, you see them on adverts on television, on YouTube, on Facebook, whatever it is. You never consider that you can be working with them. More to the point, they want to work with you. Yeah. That blows my mind. Yeah. It still blows my mind.
Let's break that down, because there's a lot of people right now, and this is why I'm always really interested in finding out the story. I'm the why guy, Will. You've known me for long enough now. I'm the why guy. I like to know what's the difference that makes the difference. What's the thinking or the action that people are doing that's enabling them to get the result that they actually are achieving, and what's really interesting for me was 3 years ago, more than 3 years, nearly 4 years ago, you and I had a conversation, and it was a point in time where you wanted to look at making a bit of a directional change, but you didn't know what that change was going to be. And we sat down and we talked through it, and I had with what I call a clarity session with you to help you get clarity on what you wanted. At the time, you were working in a bar, not the bar you mentioned, but another bar in Chelmsford, and your sort of words at the time was it was quite depressing for you actually at the time in terms of where you're at. I mean, was it just because you felt stuck or frustrated just doing the job that you were doing? What can you cast your sort of self back to that time when you were working at that bar?
Yeah, no, it was the depression is the exact word for it, really. I was in. I know my mum's going to say this and get upset now. I'm all right now, Mum. I was in a bit of a bad place. I wasn't having any silly thoughts. I've always known what I wanted, and I've always known where I want to go. And I was at this point where at this point, by the way, 3 years ago, I'd done stuff with Royal Comedy. So people that had seen these videos that get 250,000 to 1 million views, this was post those videos, right? So you'd think I'd be over the moon. And I just didn't know, it didn't feel right. And I didn't feel like I was in the right place. And I was really low, because it's so sad to say, but what happens is people will see you as this character constantly. Even for yourself, Will, you'll be exactly the same. You're, a life coach, a self-help, a motivational man. There's a million different words for what you do and a million different things that you do, but everyone will always expect you to have the answer. But when you're walking through Tesco's or whatever town centre and you're having a really rough time in here, and somebody goes, "Oh mate, I love that video. You've got to do more. It's brilliant." You've got to go, "Oh mate, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's brilliant. I appreciate the support, mate." But your head's going, "I can't stand this. I can't stand what's going on. This isn't me. I don't know why he's liking what I do. That isn't what I do." And this is what I was battling with, and this is why I needed your help, which again I should say thank you for. To gain clarity, to understand where I need to go, because it's all well and good getting, hundreds of thousands or millions of views on a video. Bearing in mind, one thing I will stress, which we'll go back into later on, numbers mean nothing, right? Absolutely nothing in that game anyway. You can have all the views, but you might be doing the wrong thing, which I was doing. I was doing the wrong thing for the wrong audience. And I wasn't being myself. I was, trying to match other people in the industry. And I was like, "Oh, this isn't me, man. This isn't me." And I took a step back from it all, and it nearly all crumbled around me, because I'd started, and you don't get a second chance in this game, Look at everyone you look at. Everyone is a famous presenter, just for argument's sake, because that's my role. As a presenter, you can only name probably 6, because there's always the same ones. Name a new one. Who can? You can name the new ones on YouTube, or have done a couple of cameos on Sky and sports channels and that sort of thing. But if you want to name another Anton Deck of recent, you can't. The most recent is Reggie Yates, and where's he gone? But that's because the pressure of the industry, and it's a whole different animal, whole different kettle of fish.
So it's interesting you mentioned the word depression, right? So I work with people on that are quite often experiencing what I call the rift symptoms, right? When they typically come to me, they're experiencing the rift symptoms, which I classify as stress, overwhelm, frustration, depression, anxiety, unfulfillment, all those negative emotions. But any emotion is simply a signal to get us to think or act differently. So a negative emotion is to get us to think or act differently. A positive emotion is basically a feedback mechanism. A feeling is the body's feedback mechanism. But then what we need to identify is, well, where do we take that feeling? And depression is typically caused as a result of comparing your current reality to a fantasy. So you said you knew where you wanted to go, but you were comparing that to where you were now. And the bigger the gap, the bigger the feelings of depression, right? Because nobody has depression. Nobody. People may have feelings of depression, but they don't have depression. You've got a very good-looking sort of overshirt on there. If I said, "Well, give me your shirt," you could give me that shirt. But if you were depressed or feeling depressed, if I say, "Give me your depression," you can't give it to me. So nobody has depression, they have feelings of depression. And the great thing about a feeling is we can change it in a moment. So what we have to do is think or act differently. Now, what you've said there was that you established this, you identified this. We obviously had a conversation, I can't believe it was nearly 4 years ago. I remember it like it was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And
I think you just turned 35 at that point.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'd get back. You'd get me back for that second best Will in Essex comment at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're just warming up as well. I'm waiting for the bit. I'm waiting for the bit. I'm waiting for the not just the right hook, but the slam dunk. But one of the things that we said, when you started getting clearer was that personally you wanted to get in the best shape of your life, you wanted to plan some sport, you wanted to be happy, and then there was some goals that you had in your relationship. But what was really interesting, which just having this conversation before we went live, was that you had completely forgotten that when we had that conversation 4 years ago, that you'd said you wanted residency in as a radio host, doing presenting and being in a position to start your own show or platform.
But that is insane, right? For anyone watching right now, that's 110% truth, right? 4 years ago, read it again, Will. What was it exactly?
So personally, be in the best shape of your life, particular body fat, be happy in a supportive relationship, have a residency as a radio host and be presenting, and be in a position to start a show or platform. So and then there was some financial goals as well.
Yeah. So the which are great as well. So the radio thing, this is what blew my mind. So when you told me this, Will, again, I mean, I do remember it happening, but at the time I didn't. It just blows my mind. So I have just surpassed 1 year with my own breakfast show on a radio station, and I completely forgot that nearly 4 years ago, I wanted that. I thought the radio came out of nowhere, and I was like, that sounds like a great opportunity. I'll give that a go. But no, I'd planned this from day one and forgotten about it. It's never left the back of my mind, but the forefront of my mind, the conscious mind, it had left. And this is another key to because people always say, "What? How do you do it?" I don't know. I don't know the answer. The only thing I do know is thanks to people like yourself, Tony Robbins, is I've always believed without a millisecond of doubt that I will make it. 110%. What changes is my perception of what make it is. Originally, make it for me was 110 million. 110 million. Now, the reason I'm talking financially, right? The reason it was 110 million is because that was the figure that I'd spoken about in previous work life in London. And that figure was a figure that, because of the interest on that figure, you could basically never run out. Right? You could live a stupid, lavish life and you'd never go to zero unless you went crazy. For some reason, that was my end goal. Not at all. My end goal now, which I know for a fact is already happening, is to have a platform, own a platform, in which I can portray other people that want to be portrayed to the world. They have their 15 minutes of fame, whatever you want to call it, to a huge audience, an audience across the world, on Facebook, YouTube, social media, whatever it's going to be, where Joe Blogs or whoever comes on and they say, I want to come on the show because I want to show you that I can do this. Because when people are given the audience might be 20 million people, right? One person will absolutely love them and want to sign them. But you need that 20 million audience. How many people do you think we meet in our entire lives? Not 20 million. So with social media and the power of that and all these different platforms now, I will have a platform which I can click a button and everyone that wants to can see someone. That would change the world. We have it now, but we all work against each other. We all work in polar opposites. Everyone competes. Everyone's got this Instagram versus reality. We all compete with this weird idea that you've got to look like you're having a great life. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. I'm wearing shorts. You know what I mean? It looks like I'm dressed up all smart. I'm wearing tracksuit shorts because all you can see is this. Instagram, reality, right? That's the truth of it, right? But we all have this facade to keep up. But anyway, yeah, this is something I definitely will create, which I do want to talk to you about another time as well, because it's something you can definitely have.
We'll absolutely do that. And I'm going to come back to that part in a moment about being yourself. But what I think is really interesting, this is why sort of your story, Will, is I think so inspirational for so many people that will be listening to this, that know of the Will Richards, that see the Will Richards on the wall of comedies, that follow your Instagram, that follow you around all the different things that you do and all the presenting that you've done. But nearly 4 years ago, the things that you were doing that was preventing that was you were procrastinating, you were not taking your own advice, and you were just not being sure on what you needed to do specifically. It was like, well, I kind of want this, but you hadn't got specific on what you did. And those were the things that were preventing you back then And then you obviously started to change those things and got you into action. So what was it that you started doing that meant that you stopped procrastinating, or certainly procrastinating as much as you were?
Yeah. So it was clarity of goal. Like you said, there's a podcast you recently uploaded onto, well, it was a clip of it. I think 3 days ago, I think it said, you need to, as Tony Robbins said as well, you need to have an end goal. And my end goal at that point was successful. What does that mean? Successful in what? And it goes back to the financial side of things. It was very materialistic. I'm not a materialistic person, but successful has been drilled in by social media mainly, and television and film, whatever, has been drilled into the younger generations. And when I was in the younger generation, obviously a lot younger than you, but when I was in that, it's drilled into me that to be successful means to have an abundance of money to the point where you are ridiculously rich. That's success in people's minds. People forget success is, if you tell a joke and one person laughs, they'll tell that joke. You've made a success of comedy. It's a much smaller scale, but that will trickle through, and you can change somebody's life. Every morning on my story after I've been to the gym, I say something, whether it be a bit cliche or cheesy or something that's really profound and important that I want to get across. They'll always be important, but people that watch it never ever forget, as much as that's for you, that's for me as well. Because I'm talking to myself. Yeah, all I can see on the screen is me. I know there's a few people watching. I get that. But as much as it's for you, it's for me. Because I need to remind myself of this stuff. I need to remind myself constantly, end goal. Where am I going? Is this the right tune? Is this the right opportunity? Is this the right left? Is this the right? You never know until you take it. But in answer to the short answer to what you're saying is, what changed for me, it was literally clarity of what I wanted, end goal. Because by that point, it's not difficult. For example, let's say if your end goal is you want to become a Formula One driver, it's fairly self-explanatory. Obviously, just Google it, but there'll be a process you have to go through. But if you want to be a famous driver, there's no answer to that. There's no Google process. There's no A to Z of how to become a famous driver. Are you famous because you crashed and killed people? Because that's fame. Or are you famous because, it can go a million different ways. If you know your exact end goal, and that's what happened to me.
So getting specific and then reverse engineering that. And what's really interesting, so what you just said, the end goal, I refer to it as a North Star, because it can just be that guiding light. You can detach from the outcome, you can focus on the process, which it sounds like you did. But the other thing that's really vital here is that success is subjective. And I just want to make sure everybody hones into this, is that success for Will may be different, well, it is different to success for me, and success for you listening to this right now is going to be different to people that are around you. And that's the biggest mistake that people make, is that they're living to other people's ideals, whether that's social ideals, whether it's parents that have projected or injected ideals on them, whether it's friends, whether it's old school teachers, society, you name it. It doesn't matter. Instagram, oh, well, everyone's doing this, so I should be doing this. It's getting clear what you really want and live into that. Because one of the things that you said was that when you were doing the early Wall of Comedy videos and stuff, was that it felt wrong for you. I'm doing the wrong thing, you said about 5 minutes ago. And what was the wrong thing for you back then? Because you were doing presenting, but why was it the wrong thing?
It wasn't me. So primarily the content that was created was brilliant. It was funny, people loved it, but it wasn't me. I was entertaining people. I was a clown, basically, right? So I'm talking, it's difficult because I never want to knock what I've done, because I would never change that I've done it. But there's a difference in entertaining people and educating people when you're doing something positive and helping people towards something, and maybe, like I say, make a quote, help one person, do a radio show. We've got something called The Impossible Question every morning on Radio Chumps, but tune in. You can download the app on the App Store. 7 till 10 a.m. But yeah, one of these things. But what I was doing was I was throwing cream pies in someone else's face and playing egg roulette, which is where you've got a load of boiled eggs and one's raw. And yeah, it's entertaining because you're the joke. When an egg splats on your forehead, you're the joke. And it was wrong for me, because I'd get people come up to me and go, I love what you're doing. I love your stuff, man. I had people ask for photos and stuff. That blew my mind. I'm like, really? And there's a funny story. I've actually signed something once for someone. I've never done a signature before. So I've just gone, yeah. There you go, mate. He's never going to see another one, so I don't know if he can compare it to anything. I'll have to
You
practice.
get a lot of money for that on eBay right now. If it's the only signature, the only one which is, go on eBay, it'd be going for an absolute fortune.
Yeah, my mum bought it. Yeah, people come up to me, I love what you're doing, it's brilliant, it's so funny. When are you going to do the next? It's always, when's the next video coming out? When's the next video? And then your head going like, they don't care about what I've done. They care that realistically, anyone could have done what I did. I'm not suggesting it was easy by any means, but it wasn't good because I was doing it. It was good because it was popular and the Wall of Comedy were popular at the time. They still are. But what I want to do and what I am doing is I want to entertain. I want to create a place where people feel comfortable with me. I want to amalgamate every different walk of life, right? So I've just got an allotment. There's an explanation to this, right? It's just to sound crazy. There's a lady that's got the plot next to the allotment that we've got, and a completely different walk of life. They have allotment societies, meetings over cups of tea and digestive biscuits in the park and stuff. Crazy, right? But then I've also got all the lads we go to pub with, right? But then I've also got local bowls club, have a chat with them. Local rugby club, I like rugby vets. Then I've also got the people that always see me. I go to the M&S by the station. Little old lady that works in there, lovely. So I want to make sure that every single person I ever meet, from every walk of life, every age, every background, whatever they are, can have a chat with me. That's what I want to do, and that goes back to the end goal with the whole platform thing. Because if everyone wants to watch you, you can't lose.
I think that is great to hear how diverse you're willing to be. Like you just said, I've got an allotment and you're doing your allotment thing in bowls and things. But the thing that I take from all of this, and I was just sort of processing this, thinking as you're speaking, like, how am I going to explain to people? But what I summarize that is it's you just being you, whether you're in an allotment, whether you're in a bowls club, whether you're out with the lads, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on TV, it's you. You're the same person. Whereas when you're the person having egg spats in your face or your cream pie or whatever, that was you putting on a bravado, and you not being you. Whereas now you walk down the street and it is absolutely you. The you they see on YouTube, the you they see on Instagram, the you they see doing the lift dance. It is you. That is your personality. It's not this fake thing. It's not you acting. That is you being the rawest form of you, which is interesting, isn't it? Because when you do that, and I mean, we're on this podcast, I have lots of stuff that's out there, videos and all the rest of it. When you're authentically you, is actually when you're most vulnerable.
Yeah, definitely. Because I can't hide. That is one true fact. I can't hide because, like I say, of my recent work in the last 2 years, everything is 100% me. 100% me. Of course, I keep personal life aside and that sort of thing, but everything you see isn't a bravado. Isn't what you're watching right now is just what I'm like constantly. Everything goes off on a tangent. My mind just goes whirling. I'm still thinking about the allotment, what we're going to plant in February. But everything swings around. So you can't escape it because it's not a bad thing necessarily, because people do like what you do. No one really ever stops you to go, why'd you do that for? I've had a couple of those sort of things, but part and parcel. But yeah, people stop you and they want to chat to you, whether you know them or not. And you have to figure out what they want to talk to you or why they want to talk to you. So is it because they watched this podcast? Is it because they watched a video of getting my head splattered with an egg? Is it because they watched me do something with KFC, with Foot Asylum? Is it because I do the local radio station? Is it because I'm doing the Christmas Light Switch on this year? Yeah, that's correct. But you don't know. So you have
Panto, is Panto happening this December for you, or is that?
Do you know what? I've been asked and I said no, but I might do.
You're not at that point in your career yet, but
yeah, you never know. You never know. There's a lot of money in Panto, thousands, in fact. Yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, so you can't ever hide, and like you say, you are most vulnerable. I've got a brick wall around me constantly, and that brick wall isn't a bravado or anything like that. It's that I don't think people would ever try and take me down because I am just being me. They want to take down, because obviously there's a horrible cancel culture going around and whatever, and there's constant people being jealous of seeing people do well and that sort of thing. I'm not suggesting people would ever be jealous of me, but no one would ever try and come for me for that sort of thing, because I'm just me. I'm not hiding anything behind a camera. You watch, do you know who one of the people I love is James Corden? But some of the things online about him are insane. apparently he's one of the rudest restaurant guests ever. He clicks at waiters and all this stuff. Obviously, this is all word of mouth. I've never seen this firsthand. But he's not himself on camera. Whereas if you're yourself on camera and everyone meets you and then you're the same person out and about, you can't lose.
Yeah.
People are just a decent guy. It's just a decent guy. And if Maggie, who's mid-90s at M&S, and Sarah, who's 25 down the road, Tom, whoever, if they can all have a chat with me, of course my tonality changes in the way I talk. I'm not going to talk about going up the pub with a few boys, having a few bevies to Maggie, am I? No, I'm going to talk about the allotment, and vice versa with other things. But if you have something to talk about that's real to everyone, you can't lose.
You know what I think it is, Will, is that obviously I speak with thousands of people a year, and I think that a very small percentage are truly 100% authentically themselves at any point.
Are you talking about Tinder, or are you talking about your clients?
It's across the board with clients, right? Jokes aside, there are thousands and thousands of people that are not expressing themselves authentically in the way that you are, and I include myself at points of this. I've got a lot better at it over the years, but there are times when I still am maybe a bit reserved and whatnot. And I think that is the quality, because what you've got to remember is that there's a few universal laws, right? And one of the universal laws is the law of reflection and transparency. So anything you experience in somebody else is what you are too humble or too proud to see in yourself.
Right.
So if people are saying, I love you, it's seeing something they're seeing in themselves. If someone's saying, I don't like you, you're an idiot, they're seeing something or not seeing something. They've not got the awareness to see that what they're seeing in you, they've got in themselves. And that's, again, where the whole signal thing, that is the feedback mechanism to say, like, do this, right? So that's where I think that because you are willing to be authentic and you are willing to be you, that's a lot of people admiring that trait and that quality that maybe they're not doing as much in themselves. And there'll be a lot of people that will be listening to this right now going, yeah, I probably could be. I probably am being a little bit fearful. I'm maybe not saying that thing that I could say because I'm a little bit fearful of looking stupid. Or they had the time once upon a time where they said something and got shot down for it, or they got so they had a negative emotional experience when they were themselves. Because when we were all kids, 2-3 years old, we were all running around, running around the playground, pretending that we're airplanes, running around the Tesco supermarket, thinking we're airplanes. You probably still do that, running around Tesco as an aeroplane. Very slow aeroplane, but the thing, that's where and we see that in kids, and we love that I suppose innocence, of that they're unharmed and they're willing to do what they want to do, and over a period of time that confidence and that self-esteem can get chipped away from other people's comments, or, like I say, things that happen. And that's what I think, in just my opinion, a lot of people will see in you that they're just not aware of.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. And without trying to blow my own trumpet as such, I think that's one thing I do pride myself in. Going back to the children's thing, that kids, why are they so bright and bubbly? Why does everyone, 99.9% of people love kids? They're just so energetic. They're amazing. Then hand them back because you don't want to, you take them home now. But the reason being, in my opinion, is because they don't care what people think. They haven't got the ability to go, well, hang on, if I run around as an aeroplane in a circle for half an hour, isn't Auntie Karen going to think I'm a bit weird? No, of course they don't care. They don't have that ability because that's instilled by a society that's older than them in life. If you can carry that through and try and bring that up to where your head is now, if somebody ever makes you feel stupid, the only reason you feel stupid is because you think you're stupid. There's nothing wrong with getting the question wrong.
I want to jump into that because this is really interesting, right? Is that when the kids are doing that, they're just in the moment, whereas the people think, oh, well, what might they think? You're then projecting into the future. You're now thinking about the future and making your present decisions based on what someone may or may not do. The same way that a lot of people base their present decisions on patterns of behavior from their past. Well, once upon a time, someone shouted at me when I said something, so now I don't say anything because I think I'm going to get shouted at. And they keep running that back. They run that pattern of behavior, a belief system, if you like. It's a bit like if you've got a computer, if you've got a Windows computer, it's a bit of up-to-date hardware. But if you're still running it on Windows 95, it's not going to operate at the potential that it can do. So we've got to constantly be operating the software, which is internally the mindset, the attitudes, and the established set of attitudes and beliefs that we're running ourselves on to be able to create the outcome that we want. And yeah, that's kind of the process.
Yeah, mate, I totally agree. It scares me how long it took me to realize that I'm in control of my own thought process. Now, what I mean by that is when you do videos online, you obviously get people that don't know you, have no idea who you are, say some weird things, right? And I thought to myself, if I get offended by that, I'm letting myself get bothered. If I get upset by somebody goes, oh, you know, Will's, or Willie, as they call me in some of these videos, he's got fat, or he's not as funny, or why is the white girl in there, whatever, you know, whatever it is. If I start taking this on board, I'm damaging myself. When I'm saying to myself, well, he doesn't know me, so of course he's going to think something weird. Meet him, I guarantee you, or her, or whoever it is, if I meet that person, I 110% guarantee they'll walk away going, legend. Because you can have a one-to-one conversation with somebody like that. Now, if you have anyone in your life, right, I'm talking to anyone now, if you have anyone in your life that you think may hinder you or puts you down at times, whatever, cut them out of your mental, cut the ability of them controlling you out. I know it sounds easy. Well, I'm making it sound easy. It's not that simple, but just get away from these people. Get away from people that would try and do that, because anyone that cares about you wouldn't do that, for one. And number two, you're only going to damage yourself, because unfortunately, some people are asses in life. And the worst part of that is that Will's one of them. No, I'm joking. The worst part of that is that we can't escape them. There's always going to be some, because without the arses, there'd be no good people. Without the lows, there'd be no high. Robbie Williams. I'm loving angels instead. But the most important thing to do is get that out of your head. I had this exact problem. I had people doubt me. Oh, doubters. That destroyed me. Friends, close friends, people I care about, people who I, to this day, back constantly, doubt me. And that used to destroy me. I was like, how can this person not think that I'm going to do what I want to do and achieve what I want to achieve? And all it does now, people think, what do I do then? Get rid of them, cut them out as a friend? Not at all. I just do everything I can to make sure that they win. Because when I win, they just won't be at my table. I want to see them win too. I want to see them eat, just not at my table.
I was going to ask you the question, what do you do about the doubters now? I mean, one of the things I'm a fan of is that there is this school of thought, right, we'll cut people out, chop away the dead wood, which I'm not a fan of, because sometimes people are close, just family members, you know, that might be. But when we understand that if people are doubting us, they're not doubting us, they're doubting themselves
100%.
in what we're trying to do, right? And
100%.
when we take it from that perspective, then we can detach from it and go, hey, that's okay. You're welcome to your opinion. You know, when people say stuff to me, in my head, sometimes I'll literally just say, thank you for your opinion.
Yeah.
I'll hear what they say, what they might quote as a statement, which is, you can't do that. I'll prefix it, but I won't say it out loud with, in my opinion. So in my head, I'm hearing them say, in my opinion, you can't do that.
Yeah,
or
100%.
You can't do that. And I still get as a suffix, in my opinion, you know, because then all of a sudden it's just an opinion, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. And it's it can be quite empowering by doing that. I want to pick up on one little thing that you said, because it's a subtle nuance, but I think it would be helpful for people listening. You said about I can't control my thoughts, or I can control my thoughts. I realize I can control my thoughts. So my offering here is that we can never control our thoughts. A thought is something that just pops into your head. We've all had thoughts of, if I said to you, have you had the thought you're going to run out of money? Have you had the thought that you're hungry? Have you had the thought that you need the toilet? We've all had thoughts, right? We can't control our thoughts, they just come. But what we can influence is our thinking. So a thought is something that pops into your head, but our thinking is essentially what we choose to do with the thought, the judgment that we decide to put on it, what we choose to do. Do we choose to ruminate it on it, or do we just park it? And that's quite powerful, because when we understand the difference, go, actually, I can't control thoughts. You might have the thought of, I'm going to fail. I've had the thought of, I'm going to flunk this. I've had the thought of, she doesn't like me, he doesn't like me, whatever. I mean, I have the thought she doesn't like me a lot. I mean, that's just the way I have to roll. Unlike you, Will, you know, where you
Surrounded.
Surrounded, it's like the Lynx advert, isn't it?
I've had to double lock the door. It's ridiculous.
But the thinking part is that then we can choose to influence and go, oh, is that true? No, it's not. And quite we can test all those assumptions. So yeah, it's it's a little nuance, but it can be quite empowering.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. You know, you can't control your thoughts. Do you know what my favorite thing to do is when people say, can you control your thoughts? You say no, right? If I said, everyone now think of a sausage, right? You can't control that. I'm in your head. You're thinking of a sausage, whether you like it or not. Now, don't think of a sausage. It's still there. There's nothing you can do about it.
You can't process the negative. But it's the thinking, though. That's the beauty of it. It's the thinking. We can control the thinking. And when we understand that we can control our thinking, then amazing stuff can happen. So I love that. Well, we could talk all day, I'm sure. What's the future? So we heard a little bit about what the goals were for Will Richards nearly 4 years ago, and sort of you've gone on and smashed that, and you're continuing to smash that, and you're doing tremendously well, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people. But what's the future for Will Richards? What does that look like?
Well, number one, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Funnily enough, this morning, I put a video up, as I said to you at the start of the video. I put a story up, and it was about movement is medicine. That's basically what I said. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, but in every different aspect, any problems you have, exercise, move things around in your head, change the way that you have perspective of the situation. I won't go into it now, but the amount of people that respond to that now. So I needed that today. Every day creeps up a little bit more. So I'm just thinking, well, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep going, because that 2 becomes 5, 5 becomes 10, 20 becomes 50, and it goes on and on and on. So number one, the end goal is what I'm on the path to already. Is what I said. I'm creating a platform in which people can be seen for what they want to be seen. And I don't mean as in their persona. I mean their talents, what they want, their message, whatever it is. I'm not suggesting I agree with what they're saying or what they're not saying or what they're doing. I might think they're a rubbish singer. But you can only give them an opportunity to be seen by everyone else. Because if everyone can do well in what they want to do, in whatever they think well is, you can't lose. I always
Absolutely
can't lose. But that is one of the goals. And number two, my name accidentally became a brand. Right now, I'm at the pub, for example, argument's sake. Mate's phone rings, and I said, "Who am I with?" I'm with Tom, Mike, Will Richards, Sam, and John. Why did I get the Will Richards? Right. Nobody called me Will anymore. Everyone calls me Will Richards, which I did think, like, why is that? Why is that a thing? You know, in fact, you're the same. Who are you speaking to? Oh, Will Polston. It wouldn't make sense if we say Will, would it? Because like we've got mutual friends. If I said it to a mutual friend, they wouldn't know it's you if I said Will, but I say Will Polston. It's because your name becomes a brand, which you've recently, congratulations, rebranded too, which I love and adore. And I was going to have a chat with you about this another time, but I want to push that brand a little bit further, you know, be a little bit more risque with it, push myself and reward myself for what I've done. Because I've got people that respond to me on social media and say, oh, thanks for doing this, thanks for doing that. Nobody that sees that isn't sending the message sees the half of it. I screen record everything. I take photos of it. Nobody sees how many people this affects. So I do want to get to a stage where, you know, it will be an off-cut brand of that's well, it is an off-cut brand already, because no one can say Will, just as Will Richards. But yeah, that's somewhere I want to go with it, and just sort of list up things underneath that, if you like. You know, the radio show, the radio show isn't the breakfast show with Will, it's the breakfast show with Will Richards. So I think I'm just going to keep doing more of that stuff as well.
Love it. I have got one other question, and it might end up being 2 questions, but there are some things that you do now, day to day, excuse me, some things that you do day to day now that will be the foundations of what enable you to be able to be you and do you and show up in the way that you do and have the impact that you do. So almost like positive habits, you know, the sort of things that are the rituals for you, if you like, of things that you do.
Yeah.
What are some of those that you do day to day?
I go to the gym every single morning. Right, this is crazy for me. Now, you remember me, Will, and you could admit it, it's fine. I was a fat little sod, right? Because I got well out of shape. I was reaping the benefits of what I'd done. I was getting some good brand deals in, and I was going out to restaurants
with KFC on the KFC. That's what it was.
KFC,
they didn't pay you money. They just paid you in like a KFC card that's unlimited KFC.
I got 1,000 kilos of popcorn chicken, mate. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, so I was eating and drinking and being merry. I wasn't on the brink of any health worries or anything like that. I just put weight on and on. And obviously, lockdown didn't help either because there was nothing happening then. And this also goes back to what we said 3-4 years ago. I also had a moment of clarity during COVID pandemic, which is still on, but lockdown 2020, Christ, 2021. And that was like, don't waste time. Don't waste any more time because you're never too old to do anything. I'll never ever say that, but I'll lose momentum if I wait any longer because I'm buzzing. I'm ready to go now. So I go to a gym called F45. I'm going to come to some training space stuff soon as well. That looks amazing as well. Nightclub gym. It looks insane. I've been speaking to Phil Pound about it. I think you met him up there. But yeah, I'm going to come up there soon. So exercise is a major thing. I don't eat as clean as I should, but I eat and drink a lot more water. And do you know what the biggest thing for me is? Just gratitude and being nice. If you can walk down the street, right? This is how strange. I know this has gone off on a tangent again, but this is how strange society is. It would be deemed as weird, literally weird. I would be a weirdo if I walked down the street in a group of lads and I went, "Hi, fella, that's a really nice shirt, mate." Then I was, "Oh, he fancies you, eh?" That's what would happen. Do it to one person on their own, you make their day. Do it to a group of people, it's deemed as strange. Why would you do that? It's almost deemed as antisocial to socialise, right? It's completely backwards. So I try and do my best using social media to talk directly to one person, even though there's a few different people watching, and try and make their day. So I think that's one big element for me as well, that I do every single day. Be nice. Say something nice to one person, text a loved one saying, just let you know I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. I'll do it to you right now, Will. I'm proud of you for 2 reasons. One, you managed to help that anti-aging stuff out. I don't know what's going on, but you're looking younger. And 2, you're on a path. You want to inspire 1 billion people already?
That's right, yeah.
Have you calculated how many people you've done it for?
I haven't typed it up recently. I need to add a few to the tally. You
can't calculate it. And I'd say you'd almost be on the bit. Of course, you can calculate the clients you work with, but you'd be upwards of that number already, mate, because people what you've said to me today will go to other people. They may never meet you in their lives, but be proud of yourself. I know you are anyway, because everything you said, I will pass it on to other people and so on and so forth. So you'll probably reach 1 billion before your 50th in 6 weeks. So yeah, I think you're smashing it, mate.
No, thank you. It means a lot. And yeah, I'm a big believer in the ripple effect. And when you achieve your full potential, it not only benefits you, but your family, your friends, your community, society, humanity, the universe. That's the ripple effect. And what you just said about random acts of kindness, it's been pretty, you said about gratitude. I mean, it's been scientifically proven that by thinking about the following day going well, doing gratitude and doing a random act of kindness it's been scientifically proven to change your psychology in a positive way in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
By spending 5 minutes on a Monday thinking about the Tuesday going the way you want it to, thinking of 5 things or spending 5 minutes thinking of things that you're grateful for on the Wednesday, and doing a random act of kindness on the Friday for 3 weeks has scientifically been proven to change that. And that random act of kindness, like you say, could be a compliment. People go, "Oh, well, I haven't got the money to buy someone this." But it doesn't have to be that. It could be a simple compliment. Yeah. Identify something you like. Your hair looks good. This looks great. The jogging bottom shorts that you're wearing look wonderful today, Will. It's great to see you get a bit of leg out, and it's powerful. It really is powerful.
Let's do this then. Every single person that's watched this video, you've got to this point, do something right now. You've all got a phone. You're probably watching it on it, right? End of this video, swipe up, go to your text list, your contact list, scroll, stop. Whoever it lands on, text them, as long as you know them, because if you haven't spoken to them in a few years, it might get a bit weird. Just text them something nice. Just call them, text them, FaceTime them, something nice. Put a Facebook status up saying, "Just want to let everyone know you're smashing it today, and I know you need to see this," right? Because one person will read that and go, "Damn, that was meant for me. That was meant for me." And you wrote it without realising that. But yeah, do it. Go and do it now.
Great idea. That is the challenge. Yeah, that is the challenge. Get that done. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful idea for as people to have a little bit of a takeaway to go away. Do you know what's amazing about doing the random act of kindness is that whilst you make that other person's day, how good it feels for yourself.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I feel electric. I feel absolutely electric, mate. And I love that sort of thing. I love it because I think sometimes when you're really low and you feel like everything's gone out of control, you know, we've all had that feeling of, oh my God, everything's falling apart around me. If you start being nice to other people, it doesn't really matter about that stuff anymore. You start to feel good. You start to feel better. Things start to come back into place again. So I think gratitude and giving compliments and gratitude to other people is definitely a great way forward. It's something we should have been doing for years. And it's never too late to start. I love
100%, 100%. Well, people, I'm sure, will have fallen in love with you on this episode. Where can people find you? Where are they connecting with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
So my full address, I'm joking. So I'm on social media. It's all at Will Richards. So it's at WILLRICHARDSS. The second S, everyone thinks it means something. It doesn't. It's just because I couldn't get one S. But yeah, across all social media. Come and give me a message. Come and say hello. Come and let me know that you've followed me or contacted me or watched the stuff that I've done because of this video, and we'll have a chat.
Wonderful. Will, it's been a pleasure. Great catching up as always. For everyone that's been listening to it, you've had absolute gold here. I hope you found it beneficial. Make sure you go and connect with Will. Start watching him on his Instagram videos. See what we've been talking about with the lift dance and everything else that goes on. Will, you truly are an inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing, my friend. You're doing great work, and I look forward to seeing that continue to evolve over the coming months and years. Top man.
Amazing, mate. Thank you. Well, I look forward to working with you very soon as well. Secret project.
Indeed. Everyone's been listening. Until next time, make it happen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Make It Happen with Will Polston podcast. Make sure you join Will's free Facebook group, the Make It Happen community. Please support the show by subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or Google Play. Share this episode with at least one friend you think would benefit from it, and give Will a 5-star review wherever you download your podcasts. Until next time, make it happen.